For more than 40 years, one man chose the cold over comfort. In the frozen silence of Alaska, night was not empty. It was alive, watching, waiting. This was not ordinary darkness. This was the kind that swallowed everything.
Every breath turns solid in the air. Even breathing hurt.
In the middle of that frozen world stood a man named Frank Glazer.
He was not fearless. He was simply finished with turning back.
That night, Alaska did not welcome him. It challenged him. In 1915, Frank Glazer stepped off a steamship and onto Alaskan soil. He carried little, just a rifle, a few supplies, and a decision already made. He wasn't chasing gold or glory. He was simply done with the life he left behind.
Men warned him of the snow, the rivers, the deaths that waited ahead.
Most men would have turned back. Frank tightened his pack straps and walked on.
Frank Glazer began the long march north through Thompson Pass.
Each step sank him deeper, sometimes to his waist, sometimes farther. His boots stayed wet. His toes burned, then went numb. Around him, men quit. Some turned back. Some never rose again. Frank did not curse the cold. He simply kept moving.
Rivers were the deadliest obstacles on the trail.
To cross them, Frank stripped naked in temperatures that killed in minutes.
The water sliced into him like knives.
He never called it bravery. He called it necessary.
With every mile, Alaska was stripping him down to something harder. Eventually, Frank found himself completely alone. In Alaska, solitude wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. Something sharpened inside him, a sense of the land watching back.
When the land warned him, he listened, without knowing why.
The wilderness was no longer around him. It was inside him.
Every stop came with warnings. Men who never made it.
They spoke of murders, disappearances, bodies lost in snow. Then he stepped back onto the trail, alone with those thoughts. When snow melted, the insects arrived like a living storm. Roadhouses were islands of life in a sea of cold.
Some were run by people tougher than the trail itself.
For a few hours, men remembered what comfort felt like.
Even here, hope sometimes came wrapped in foolish dreams.
Comfort was temporary. The trail was not. Frank chose the cold again. He always did. Even machines were helpless this far north. Out here, survival sometimes meant helping someone else.
Frank rarely admired men, but he admired this one.
In Alaska, even iron eventually loses.
After nearly 400 miles, Fairbanks finally appeared.
I can't believe we actually went.
It was worth it.
Yeah, I'm almost there. Tell them I need the report.
In frontier towns, meat meant money, and money meant survival. He became what Alaska needed, a market hunter. Rest was brief. The wilderness was already calling again. Frank hunted not for sport, but to eat and earn. When he raised the rifle, something always fell.
Every pound meant another mile of pain.
Shelter was whatever he could build before darkness won.
Shoot, haul, sell, repeat.
That's when Frank began noticing the wolves. They hunted with patience, with planning. Frank chose a place few men would dare to live.
With nothing but an axe, he began building a home.
That night, the wilderness pressed in from every side.
Here, among the wolves, the wolfman was born.
They grew among sled dogs, half wild, half loyal.
That's when people began calling him the Wolfman.
For hours, sometimes days, Frank watched without moving, learning the language of wolves through silence.
He learned that wolves were not chaos, but order. Families bound by trust, memory, and discipline. He did not see monsters. He saw survivors, no different from himself. By firelight, he recorded what no scientist yet understood. Without realizing it, Frank Glazer was no longer just watching wolves. He was becoming one of them.
Word had spread across Alaska. When the government needed someone who understood wolves, there was only one name.
He never chased authority. But when it came, he accepted it without ceremony.
Now the hunt stretched across the entire state, by snowshoe, by trap, and by air.
He fired once, miss, and the wolves vanished. Hit, and it was over.
Every hunt was recorded, not because he had to, but because knowledge mattered.
He hunted wolves for the government, but never stopped respecting them.
By then, his name traveled faster than he did.
He taught not from books, but from snow, silence, and memory.
In his later years, he no longer hunted to understand. He simply watched.
After 40 years, he understood what few ever would. Balance mattered more than victory.
The frontier was changing, and with it, the age of men like Frank Glazer.
Age finally slowed the man who once outran storms.
The wilderness never left him. It lived behind his eyes.
No headlines, no ceremony, just a small notice in the Fairbanks paper. That night, the wolves still howled across Alaska. Decades later, science returned to the same valleys Frank once walked alone.
The results were startling. The wolves moved exactly as Frank had predicted.
Different tools, same land, the same wolves.
Long after his death, people still ask why Frank Glazer matters.
Frank lived not for comfort, but for truth. A meaningful life is not found in ease, but in alignment with who you truly are. Men pass, stories fade, but the land endures. The wolves still run, as they always have. Some lives echo long after the footsteps disappear. Not by monuments, not by names, but by the wild itself. The wolfman of Alaska is gone, but the wilderness remembers.